I'm Councilmember Henry Foster III, co-chairing today's Reinvestment Task Force meeting, along with my co-chair, Supervisor Monica Montgomery Stepp. I now call this meeting to order at, do we have a time, Dave? Do we need to state the time? At 2:06. If we can quickly go around the room so you can introduce yourself for the record. We will start with Darren.
All right, Darren, Houston City Bank. I run a mortgage office out of Solana Beach, past president of NARAB. I think I'm familiar in the room, so thank you for having us.
Good afternoon. I'm Emily Dang. I'm with JP Morgan Chase with the corporate responsibility team covering Southern California.
I'm Angela Zappia, Director of Development with Accessity.
Good afternoon, everyone. Enrique Mesa, Community Affairs for U.S. Bank.
Pamela Gabriel, San Diego Market Executive for Bank of America.
Daisy Crompton, San Diego Housing Commission. I staff the RTF.
Supervisor Montgomery Stepp, County District 4.
And again, Henry Foster, City of San Diego, District 4.
Stephen Russell, President and CEO, San Diego Housing Federation.
Antonio Barbosa with Wells Fargo Community Relations.
Peter Armstrong, Vice President of Real Estate Development with Wakeland Housing and Development Corporation.
Adolfo Ventura, Vice President COO with MAC.
Jermaine with the San Diego Lending Housing Program Officer.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jerry Hernandez, and I'm the director at CSA San Diego County, Fair Housing Nonprofit.
All righty. Thank you so much for the introductions, and thank you for joining us today. We will now move on to non-agenda public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to comment on items not on the agenda today. Clerk, do we have any members of the public who have requested to provide non-agenda public comment? All righty, thank you so much. Having none, we will move right along to item number 3, task force member comments. This is a time for members to provide any announcements, news, or updates, and I guess I will commence. It's my understanding that this is Daisy Crompton's last meeting with us. Just really want to thank you, Daisy, for your time and commitment to the Reinvestment Task Force over the years. We appreciate the work you've done to keep the work of RTF going and wish you much success on your next chapter in life. With that, I will hand it off to my co-chair, Supervisor Monica Montgomery Stepp, to provide any additional remarks.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Daisy. So for those of you who don't know, we've been working together since before I was an elected official. Daisy was in this capacity. I staffed this task force. She has always been very, very, very dedicated to the work, really trying to convene folks and provide a space for us to work together, even in all of the different capacities that we have. And so we have accomplished quite a bit over these last few years. It's probably been about 8 since we've been working together, but just with all of the focus on our first-time homebuyer programs and the Worth grant, even though, things have changed, but we did that work together, and you facilitated so much of that. And so I know you've been around San Diego. You had a life also before Reinvestment Task Force, but I just want to say that I personally appreciate your dedication and the things that we have been able to accomplish while I've been here with you. We're always pushing for more. I think one of my jobs, my main job, is to not settle for the status quo, right? And I know that we have had our mostly agreements, and sometimes we haven't always agreed we should go the same path that I want to go. But I think that at the end of the day, we've landed to do some really good things for this region. And I just want to say thank you publicly. So I don't know if you have anything else to say. I'm sure a lot of other task members have something to say. But
No, thank you. That is so gracious and appreciated. And I've never said no to you.
I know. But that didn't mean you always agreed.
And
now.
I would.
That's with all my staff, everybody.
Yeah. No, your staff are amazing. I want to thank everyone. I'm just so grateful to have had this opportunity, and this is still the beginning, right? As she said, there's so much work to be done. I'm just going to do it in a different capacity. I'm stepping back for a bit just to reduce my hours. I'll be leaving the Housing Commission next month. This is my last meeting. I'm going to take a little break and then figure out what's next, and have more time for board and volunteer work. And for my family, I have aging parents. My husband would probably like to get some attention in there too, so we'll work on that. But to have had the opportunity for my job to learn everything that's going on in this community nationally, what the barriers are that are preventing folks from achieving success. What are the best ways, the tools that we can bring here to promote economic justice? Having a front row seat to everything that you all do every day, your organizations, and being able to support that in any small way has been the opportunity of my lifetime. And I hope you will all continue to reach out to me. We'll find new ways for me to be involved, because there's so much work to be done. So this is a terrible time to be stepping away. It's only for a minute, and then I'll be right back. So thank you all for everything.
Thank you, Daisy.
All righty. Any other member comments? All righty. Okay. Yeah. Mr. Russell?
Thank you, council member. Some mundane things, and then I do want to mention Daisy as well. The more mundane is we are having our Ruby Awards June 5th down at the Marriott Marquis. We recognize the best people, programs, and projects in affordable housing each year. It'll be a wonderful time. I hope you can join us. Our website has all the information you could need on that. Very interesting, next week we are having a presentation from Swinnerton and Timber Lab on mass timber construction. Again, this is on our website if you're interested in it, but mass timber construction promises to be absent Canadian tariffs. We don't think we're getting lumber tariffs right now, but mass timber is a very flexible, speedy form of construction. It has a lot of potential for ecological benefits, as well as you embed massive amounts of carbon in the building. And so we're excited to be having a workshop on that topic. Again, please visit our website if you want to know more. Regarding Daisy, we've worked together. I actually left Tony Atkins' office when she was coming in, so we didn't overlap there, but that was 20 years ago. And we have been friends and colleagues and co-conspirators since then. So I know that we are losing her in this capacity, but I also know from those years of experience that we will be working together still, and I look forward to that and congratulate you on taking the time for yourself, for your family, and for your husband. Thank you.
Please. Thank you, Councilman. Yeah, I just gonna say to you that it was great working with you, Daisy, and it was already mentioned you were instrumental in bringing that 7.5 million award grant to San Diego. So thank you again for all you did and for your service for the RTF, to the RTF.
So whereas Steve has 20 years, I have 20 months probably of connection with you on the RTF, and you were incredibly welcoming, as well as, you know, the deep download that you were able to provide to me and provide context of what I'm stepping in terms of the role here on behalf of US Bank was great. And I'm able to share a lot of that with the team as well. So I want to thank you, and I'm sure our teammates would feel the same way. And congratulations to your next journey.
All right. Any further comments, announcements, news? Alrighty. Having none, we will continue to move forward. And the next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of March 20th, 2025, Reinvestment Task Force meeting. Clerk, do we have any public comment on this item? Alrighty. Having none, I will now turn it over to the members for questions and comments and to entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the meeting minutes.
All right. Moved by co-chair Supervisor Monica Montgomery Stepp. I will second the motion, and we will now move to any member comment, any discussion. All right, having none, we will move to each member to register their vote. If we can, let's signify by raising our hands. Those in favor indicate by raising your hand. Any nays? None. Looks like it passes unanimously. All righty, that takes us to the next item of business. We'll be moving on to item 5, the staff report. This is an informational item, so no motion is required. With that, Daisy, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Councilmember. I was just going to make my personal announcement. That's all the news. Actually, no. So part of my announcement is to welcome my boss, Marcel Gresham, will be taking my place as the RTF staffer. So you're getting an upgrade, y'all. And we'll introduce him literally and more formally when we get to the items, because he has already, of course, he's always overseen my work. We've been more cross-training more actively, and he has really been in the lead on the items for today, since they will be continuing going forward.
That concludes the staff report. Thank you for the information. Clerk, do we have any comment on this item? Alrighty, thank you so much. Again, this is informational, so no motion is required. Do any members have any comments or questions? Alrighty, thank you so much. That concludes that item. We will now move to our discussion agenda. We'll dispense, starting with item number 6, the RTF bylaws and potential amendments. Daisy?
You can lead off.
You lead it. Are you introducing yourself too, or do I
I'll do it.
Okay. Greetings again. I am Daisy Crumpton, staff for the RTF at the San Diego Housing Commission.
And as Daisy mentioned, I'm Marcel Gresham. I'm the Director of Special Programs Development here with the Housing Commission, and we're pleased to bring this item before you today. Thank you.
So the RTF's bylaws have been in place since just after I came on board. There've been a couple of sort of generations of leadership and pivots for the RTF, and until 2013, the RTF had never had bylaws. So they were written in 2013, passed in 2014, and the co-chairs have asked that we take a look at them. It's been an appropriate amount of time, and see if there are any updates. So as a prelude to that discussion, we were asked to provide history of the bylaws, which is in some ways a history of the RTF's official documents. So I'll go through those fairly quickly. So just, scene setting, the RTF is unique. It is, as we think, the only public-private official body in the nation that is dedicated to promoting, supporting, and monitoring the Community Reinvestment Act at the local level. We are an official commission, and so you all are commissioners. This is why we follow the Brand Act in our meetings as well, where these are public meetings. And the purpose of the RTF is to monitor bank lending practices and develop reinvestment strategies to increase economic opportunity for low and moderate residents of the county. So the RTF was founded in 1977. I'm gonna kill the presentation. These are the documents I'm going to go through in the history. It's those first documents from 1977. Then we have council policy and county policy regarding reinvestment, which also has some language in the city policy about the RTF. In 1993, the city updated its original resolution and had a lot of sort of structural things that we've embedded in the bylaws. And then sorry, these are, I clumped them all together. The 1995 policy for the Board of Supervisors is sort of the companion piece to the 1991 City Council policy. So in 1977, the CRA was passed nationally, and locally, the county conducted a sort of reinvestment needs report and convened a task force on redlining. Their report on home lending patterns came out mid-77, and in response, the city and the county created the Reinvestment Task Force. It was formed to explore methods of cooperative reinvestment with lending institutions. Then at the city level, trying to put together the documents, it was the council member Jess Haro. They talked about involving the Greater Golden Hills Planning Association, the Southeast San Diego Development Committee. You also had, as we have now, this has been since the beginning, a co-chair from the county board of supervisors and a co-chair from the city council. So the county's founding document in 77 said that there would be 3 public members, including a representative of the Coalition Against Redlining, and 4 members from local lending institutions. So then we found in 1982, there's sort of a summary fact sheet of the RTF. And at that point, there were 12 members, the same co-chairs, 4 public members, 4 representatives of lending institutions, and then 1 representative specifically from a banking institution, in addition to the lending institutions. In 1991 and 1995, the city and the county passed official policies around reinvestment. They didn't mention the Reinvestment Task Force, but it was supporting all of the same aims of the Reinvestment Task Force: to support community-based organizations in establishing positive working relationships with financial institutions, to encourage financial institutions to develop and implement San Diego-specific community reinvestment programs, and to encourage private sector reinvestment practices and programs that were responsive to community needs, promote the economic stability and growth of the city-county, and meet the financial needs of city-county neighborhoods and residents. It also encourages financial institutions to develop and implement San Diego-specific community reinvestment programs, and it identifies the activity areas that you all are familiar with from CRA and from our survey: affordable housing, consumer lending, small business lending, and the like. Until 2001, the county and the city policies were essentially identical. And like I said, they didn't mention the Reinvestment Task Force. In 2001, Marcel will be talking about the community reinvestment plan that was done at that time, and one of its recommendations was to add a little more teeth to the city's policy 900-09. It directs that the RTF will implement, it mentions the RTF for the first time, mentions it will implement a community reinvestment master plan. The RTF will assist financial institutions with developing community reinvestment programs. It will monitor and assess reinvestment performance, and it will provide reinvestment progress reports data, the survey, to the City Council annually. In addition, the City Treasurer is to consider banks' reinvestment programs when procuring banking services, and the city will officially support legislation at the state and federal level to strengthen CRA and extend it to non-bank financial institutions. So all of those were added to the city's policy document in 2001. Going back to 1993, so I wanted to, since those policies were created in 1991 through 2001, I wanted to keep them all together, but now just going briefly back to the mid-90s, 1993, the city and the Housing Commission and the county took a look at the RTF with the RTF members, reviewed its activities since 1977, and adopted recommendations regarding the RTF's mission, its structure, and its operations. Then this was all embedded in a city council resolution that replaced the original 1977 one. This document is important because it was the first place that sort of laid out everything in one document beyond just the membership, and so it was what we used in 2013 to create the bylaws. The resolution and so then the bylaws identify the RTF duties as serving in an advisory capacity to the city and county, monitoring and reporting on lender performance, conducting marketing and public information activities, and executing new program development. The RTF at this point then is constructed of 15 members. The 2 co-chairs we have from the city and the county here. Appointed by the co-chairs are representatives of 5 lenders, then representatives of 5 community organizations, and representatives from each of the 3 regions of the county, the north, the south, and the east, who wear 2 hats. It's people who either live or work in those areas, and so they're representing that part of the county as a region, but also the community organization that they work for. So, as I've said, we approved the bylaws in 2014. They called for monthly meetings, meeting processes like the Brown Act, voting procedures in terms of quorum, membership, the duties of the RTF. It says member duties and responsibilities twice, but one of those is of the whole RTF. A process for removing members if needed, a process for adopting, amending, and suspending the bylaws. And then one thing that we allowed, I think it was informally, I don't know if it was in the bylaws originally, but we started to encourage people to send alternates. A couple of you are alternates right now, because everyone is super busy, right? And they're going to so many meetings, and so we would only have half the organizations represented at a meeting. So we started to say, would you please share this duty and send someone? And everyone really rose to the occasion. I mean, look at this, we have full meetings. For the first couple of years, we're canceling meetings because there weren't enough people. And now everyone's here. We have all the voices. There's dialogue going back and forth. We're all connectors with each other's and with the community. But what we were finding was that we couldn't vote on anything, and we didn't technically have quorum on days when there were more alternates than there were regular members. So in 2018, the RTF updated the bylaws to allow alternates to vote and account for quorum, as you have today. So now as we look at any possible changes to the bylaws, the co-chairs will lead that discussion. They've lifted a couple of ideas for potential consideration, adding the name and purpose, explicitly stating the RTF's purpose, elaborating on the responsibilities of the task force, including the policies that the RTF is bound to, those 2 policies that I mentioned before. On the membership side, addressing banks becoming non-voting members and serving in an advisory capacity, adding language to clarify that credit unions can serve as financial institution representatives or community organizations, adding a vacancies process, and elaborating on the responsibilities of the members themselves. And with that, we've closed the formal presentation. We will send it to the chairs for discussion. Also, I'll note that all of these documents, which you have hard copies of, are on the RTF's website where the agenda is posted, which is sandiegortf.org/meetings, and today's meeting, April 17th, 2025.
All right, that concludes the presentation.
That concludes the presentation.
All right, thank you so much. Clerk, do we have any public comment for this item? All righty, having none, I would just like to thank the Housing Commission staff, Daisy and Marcel, for presenting the history behind the creation of the bylaws. Considering that the bylaws were adopted to govern the operations of the Reinvestment Task Force, necessary updates should be implemented in the bylaws to align with the task force missions and goals. In order to effectively invest in underserved communities, we must be a task force with a sound structure and foundation that helps us to further achieve our goals. The goal for today is to have a discussion and provide direction to staff on what revisions we would like to see made to the bylaws. As the last slide stated, the proposed revisions include adding the name and purpose section to the RTF that 1, explicitly states the purpose of the RTF, 2, elaborates on the responsibilities of the task force, and 3, includes policies that RTF is bound to, City of San Diego 900 Policy 900-09 and County of San Diego A-123. Amending the and also includes amending the membership section to address banks becoming non-voting members and serve in an advisory capacity. Number 5, adding language to allow credit unions to serve, add vacancy process. Item number 7 elaborates on the responsibilities of task force members. And one thing that I do want to be clear on is that these proposed revisions are not intended to be exhaustive. So please, as we open this up for discussion, please engage accordingly. I will now turn it over to the members for questions and comments and entertain a motion, starting with Co-Chair Supervisor Monica Montgomery Stapp.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation and going through the history. It's a 48-year history, I believe. That's a long time. So that a lot of changes since then. And you know, I know that even the CRA overall, I don't know that there have been many changes, but I know we've been through a couple periods of like commenting on specific things around the CRA that, of course, impacts us. So I would also like to see like some cleanup with, you know, some changes that we've kind of informally made that may need to be codified in the bylaws. For example, the quorum, not the quorum, but the alternate, having alternate folks to be able to sit in the seats. Might as well, you know, make that formal within the bylaws. And I think that some of the, I agree with what the council member has stated around those potential changes. I would say as we did vote on a legislative platform, I believe that in reading, perusing through the master plan, which I know Marcel is going to go over in a bit more detail in the next item, and also the council policies and the county policy, those platform issues are very much in line with what the CRA it was about and is about, and what the RTF, in effect, as a response to that in monitoring activity is about. So that is why if there's any, if banks and our financial institutions need to sort of remove yourselves from some of those conversations, right, that there's still a space for sort of that advisory type role where we can continue to have those candid conversations. And of course, I want to hear from you, right? But as we're doing a little bit of research and understanding some structures nationwide, we are very unique, but there's still, you know, some things out there that we can like benchmark against. That just came up in our conversations, and so. We certainly want to, you know, I've enjoyed having everyone at the table. Also, just know we have to move and want to continue to have and have even bigger impact than we have been having, in whatever way that is done the best way at a time like this, and that's kind of where we want to go. So I do have a motion that, you know, I want to put on the floor, but that certainly doesn't preclude us, of course, from discussion. But I do want to make sure that we have the motion that staff does return back within, you know, for our next meeting within 30 days with those revised bylaws that add a purpose section, and then modify the membership section and then reflect the recommendations mentioned today by all of the members. And so I'll turn it back over to Co-Chair Foster.
Thank you for that, Co-Chair Supervisor Monica Montgomery Stapp. And I will second that motion and then turn it over to members for further discussion and comment. Mr. Russell.
Thank you. Thank you, Council Member. No, I think this is a great move forward here. I really do appreciate, again, the history, because that is more comprehensive. I've dipped in and out of the history of the RTF over the years, and it has been a different animal each time. And so our changing our nature, purpose, character with that core goal of directing investment into communities that have not previously enjoyed the benefits of investment has been at the core. How we do it has changed substantially. I would hope, because there's some changes in the landscape here that might affect what we're doing here, in particular Assembly Bill 801, which is the California Community Reinvestment Act that would seek to capture other financial institutions under a California CRA, and particularly credit unions. So I would want us to be mindful of that as we move forward, whether that's maybe we wait till that change is done, or maybe we make that change when that change happens. Certainly having only 5 lenders here, we know there are other lenders active in the space. I think the premier lenders in this space are here, but there are more. There are more. And I think that we want to make sure this is a place they would want to come to. And I'm not sure if that's, again, is that bylaws or is that part of our plan? I'm not sure. But also the role of city EDD, because they, as to the extent that they have a economic development plan for the city, there should be, I'm hoping there is some intense dialogue between what the city's ED department is doing and the county's counterpart in that. It seemed like that could be a really powerful tool. I know we have some very specific projects ahead of us. We have to get us a grocery store in southeastern San Diego, among other things. How do we pool the resources here? And I think that the county and the city should be here for those kinds of discussions in terms of strategy. Again, I don't know if that needs to be reflected in the bylaws, but I feel that is an important sense of purpose here around this table. And so I will be supporting the motion, and I appreciate very much both chairs bringing forward the opportunity to address this and to write the next chapter in the history of the RTF.
Thank you for those comments, and I would agree we need to make sure bringing EDD in, and also I believe that would be the grants. Is it the grants department at the county? But to make sure we're leveraging those synergies and working together, as each agency does have their own plans in place, and especially how we work on financing that you're aware of. And the opportunities that are available. So I think that's a good, some very good comments. Anyone else would like to add to the discussion?
So we're recommending that the CRA regulated banks are consulting members, ex officio members, non-voting members. We have 5 currently. We're not.
I would like to, that is the motion on the floor, but I would also like to hear from the banks. I've heard some concern, frankly, about the direction. And so we're trying to have a happy medium, so to speak, where there's still active involvement, but in a way that does not put the banks in a space where they're forced to be at the table and say, I can't vote on this, or I don't want to vote on this. And, so that, I'm open this is for discussions, for suggestions. We want to still be a big umbrella, and still give the task force the ability to move forward when those types of questions come before us. Steve just mentioned the California Reinvestment Act that is, going through the state legislative process, right? Will the banks be able to sign on to a letter that says that we support this or that we want these amendments? That's a question really for their representatives here today, but I just want to be responsive to some of the things that I've heard.
I guess so, LISC or Accessity who are who are lending institutions who are not regulated by CRA, I guess we would consider that they would continue to be voting members.
I consider it a different classification, yes, but I'm open for the discussion.
I'm always a little anxious if we have a even number and we have to vote. So if we have 10 members and, just a thought.
And of course, there were other folks brought into the discussion too, like just around representatives from our departments at the city and the county. So we can make it to an odd number. We have enough interest and, yes, but I understand what you were saying. And if we get into some of those other discussions, there may be a contentious item or two.
There were a couple of 4-4 votes when the city council became 8 members and the mayor withdrew.
I have PTSD. Yes, I'm at a 2-2 right now, so I get it.
Any other comments, suggestions, recommendations? Please, it's an opportunity to engage. None? Alrighty.
The only comment I have, I think, is the welcome coming from the credit union world, and seeing the potential of credit unions as well. I think that adds a lane that hasn't existed, and a voice that I think really does matter for the future of exactly what RTF is intending to do, and an ability to include them and that community, that segment. So that's, I think, hats off to the Housing Commission on putting that together.
All right, thank you so much for that. I have been informed that we do have a speaker request form that came in a little late, so want to give the member of the public an opportunity to speak. Mr. Gustavo Bedard, is that how you pronounce your last name? All right, very well. We will turn the mic over to you.
Oh, there it is. Well, first and foremost,
just before you start, can we get it done in 2 minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. My name is Gustavo Bedard. I'm a legacy member. Lack of hair. I used to have hair when I was a member of this task force. I've worked for a number of financial institutions on the task force, backdating from 1996 through 2015, lots of the mergers and acquisitions of 2000. And I want to first and foremost thank Daisy for her support of the task force, and of course the leadership around the dais. As a former member, 20 years a member of the task force with multiple institutions, I just want to continue to encourage, since most of the banks here obviously have a social permit, to not take a step back of your leadership role, right? You have an opportunity to influence your headquarters. There is no other quasi-governmental advocacy group in the country. At one time there was, and I think it was in the South. But to have that opportunity to represent a unique organization advocating for emerging communities, don't be shy, right? Influence that leadership at your headquarters to bring headquarter dollars, and don't be shy about your commitments of local dollars. Don't wait for legislation to take place. You have a leadership role, and I think CDFIs need to be a part of the discussion. Nonprofits need to be a part of this discussion. I myself would like to volunteer, if at all possible, just to kind of give you some continuity. And of course, I've spoken in the past couple of days with former legacy Reinvestment Task Force members who would love to participate if given an opportunity, only as consultants. You guys are the leaders and the voting members, but this is a unique opportunity to be different than what the country has offered, regardless of administration. I've seen this task force go through multiple administrations, both Democrats and Republicans. Doesn't need it. You have the leadership around the table that makes things different and advocate at a national level and platform. And so I just want to encourage the financial institutions to don't step back, step in, and be advocates at a national platform. Thank you.
All righty, thank you for that. With that, does that conclude the discussion? We all wrapped up? All right, very well. We have a motion on the floor by Co-Chair Supervisor Monica Montgomery Stepp, a second by myself, Co-Chair Councilmember Henry Foster. We will now have each committee member register their vote by raise of hands. Everyone signify aye. You got it, Daisy? All right. Any nays? All right, motion passes unanimously. Thank you for the discussion, and of course, we look forward to bringing this item back and finalizing our next steps with the bylaws. With that, we will move on to item 7, master planning for the RTF. Daisy?
All right, actually, I have this one.
All righty.
All right. Well, good afternoon, co-chairs. Good afternoon, RTF members. Again, my name is Marcel Gresham, Director of Special Programs Development with the Housing Commission. Before I get started with my part of the presentation, I also want to thank Daisy for the work that she has done with the RTF. She's been incredibly helpful for me in learning about this body and how it works and some of the projects that it has been involved in over the short time that I've been working with her. It has definitely been a pleasure. And I appreciate everything that she has done up to this point, including being willing to stay on for a little while longer to help make this transition very smooth for me. So I'm very grateful for that and appreciative of the work that she's done. That being said, the item before you today is for the purpose of discussing the development and the implementation of a master plan for the Reinvestment Task Force. This afternoon, I will provide an overview of the planning history of the RTF as a catalyst to begin the body's discussion on developing these activities that will help move the RTF forward in supporting its mission to address the needs of the San Diego communities and its residents. These documents that you see on the slide before you, similarly to what Daisy covered, are in the package that you have before you, and these are the ones that I'll be highlighting this afternoon. So the RTF developed a reinvestment master plan for the time period of 2001 to 2003. This plan was intended to address a number of credit and capital needs identified by an economic analysis conducted by the RTF in the year 2000. The plan was also an attempt to respond to city and government policies. And the genesis of this master plan began with the RTF retaining a consultant team to prepare a county-wide credit needs assessment. The assessment evaluated the issues associated with the capital availability in low and moderate income communities. The findings of the assessment were presented to the City Council and Board of Supervisors. And based on this review of the findings, the City Council directed the RTF to formulate a 3-year regional reinvestment master plan, with the county board also authorizing its staff to assist with the plan's development. The focus categories in the plan consisted of capital formation, affordable housing development, small business development activities, and policy issues. The proposed initiatives in the plan included, but were not limited to, formation of a San Diego-based equity capital collaborative, encouragement of expeditious permit processing and reduced fee structure to encourage affordable housing development, formation of new and expanded capacity for small business technical assistance, and modification of existing city and county policies regarding community investment. And as you can see on the slide, some of the accomplishments that were achieved are noted on this slide. As a follow-up to the 2001 and 2003 plan, the RTF developed a proposed 2007 to 2010 3-year plan. This plan was developed by an RTF subcommittee and staffed with the input from the city and the county. It included 7 strategic goals which focus on the areas of financial education, affordable housing, and consumer practices and policies. More specifically, the goals in this plan included, but were not limited to, developing alternative financial systems and capacity for increasing housing and economic development in partnership between government and private financial entities. Also implementing research and fact-finding activities related to the disinvestment and financial distress of low and moderate income communities and individuals, and expanding the RTF's linkage with other local governments and financial services entities. And on September the 16th, 2010, the RTF adopted the 2011 to 2013 RTF strategic plan. The RTF, co-chaired by former City Council member, City Council President Tony Young and County Supervisor Ron Roberts, led the development of this comprehensive plan, which also identified 7 focus goals of the RTF, including encouraging and facilitating financial institutions' compliance with the CRA, with the Community Reinvestment Act, soliciting public opinion regarding economic needs and products, and working collaborative with existing community organizations involved in an affordable housing and economic development. And to achieve these goals outlined in the plan, the RTF identified a series of strategies and actions to implement that were associated with each goal that was listed in the plan. And of note, during this time period, the RTF held a series of SMART events which focus on financial education and literacy for the community residents and small businesses. The Smart Money Summit in particular was an event that was held almost annually since 2007, with the most recent one being held in 2014. And for a good period of time, the RTF has been funded in part by the Community Development Block Grant, which is awarded through the County of San Diego. I guess I lost it. There we go. We lost the slide there, but I'll keep going. The CDBG grant is awarded to the RTF via an agreement executed between the San Diego Housing Commission and the County of San Diego. Consistent with the guiding principles of the RTF and under the current agreement, the deliverables are to facilitate collaboration between financial institutions, government entities, and community development nonprofits to improve economic opportunities for low to moderate income families in San Diego County. Additionally, the agreement outlines the responsibility of the RTF, such as monitoring CRA activity, expanding access to capital, and acting as a resource for reinvestment information and research. This actually concludes, the slide is not showing up for some particular reason, but this actually concludes my presentation. And as stated in the beginning, the intention of this presentation was just to provide you with a high-level synopsis of the planning activities that the RTF has overtaken or undertaken over the past several years, and to be a catalyst for your discussion about the future of the RTF, to create those new activities that will positively impact the communities and residents of the city and county of San Diego. So at this time, I would like to turn it over to the co-chairs to facilitate the initial discussions and anticipated next steps, which I'll reflect those that are not on this board, which is to consider a couple of options. One being to develop an annual plan for the RTF, and the second to develop a master plan or strategic plan, a more long-term approach versus a short-term approach. So those are the options that are on the table for the body to discuss. Thank you very much.
Alrighty, thank you for that presentation, Marcel, and thank you for highlighting the master plan's importance in promoting economic stability and growth. It's helpful to receive background history and information on the master plan so we as a body can assess where we are now and how we would like to move forward. The task force must continue to implement the master plan to address the needs of historically underserved and low moderate income communities. Furthermore, this framework outlines a commitment to ensuring financial services are accessible to all neighborhoods and communities. With that, I will take a quick point of privilege and start off with a motion, and totally appreciate your recommendations or what was on your last slide. And with that, I move that RTF staff is to work with Co-Chair Supervisor Monica Montgomery-Stepp's office and my office to return with an update in 60 days with recommendations on next steps to further implementation of the reinvestment master plan. And so I think that the intent of my motion is to look at both of your options, because I think we do need to address both short-term and long-term. And so we will return in 60 days with what that plan looks like through various discussions as we return. So with that, I will now turn it over to the members for questions and comments and entertain a second. Okay. We have a second by Co-Chair Supervisor Monica Montgomery-Stepp. We'll turn it over to Mr. Russell.
No, once again, the deeper history of this organization, that barely skims the surface. I mean, you've done a great service to show us where we have been. That represents so much effort on the part of the community, and I think back to, especially in the 2007, 2008, the first canary in the coal mine around predatory lending came from Jim Bleisner. He was actively warning us that this was going to be a crisis in our communities, and it was through this platform that he was able to, we did not avert the crisis, but I think we were better prepared for it than we would have been had he not given us warning. That's, I think, an illustration of a great role that this organization can play. As we are seeing collectively, there is a lot of insight into the market and where it's being stressed. I think that the overall goals, have not changed. As much as the activities have changed, the core goals have not. And so I really appreciate the opportunity to see what the best thinking of the supervisor and council member will be in bringing forward a refreshed look at what the needs are using our old lens, but in a new world. I certainly think that alternative financing, we talk about conforming loans a lot. The city's working on a plan for how to create more row homes, townhomes, condos. I think we also need more co-ops. We need other kinds of the land trusts, other kinds of vehicles that may not exist now in response to some of these policy changes. And so I think this body being able to advise that, the dialogue, the iterative dialogue between the lending institutions and the policymakers, I think could be really valuable in this setting. And last of all, I think the research and fact-finding, Mr. Bleisner's clarion call to pay attention to this predatory lending came from deep research that this body was able to do. He was able to, and I'm looking, you're remembering those days, I think, Gustavo. So I think the role that this organization can play in providing the information that policymakers need, that our co-chairs can bring back to their colleagues and tell them in a compelling way why we need to pass certain policies or budgetary line items is important. So I just want to emphasize the research and fact-finding role of this body is something we need, I think we should double down on in the years ahead. So with that, I'll be supportive of the motion.
Thank you for that. Any other comments? Please.
I think I have one. As you know, as part of the CRA exam, we need to address the community needs. So there is a community needs assessment that we have to do every year. And it's difficult to find all the information from San Diego about housing and all the needs in terms of financial needs. So I think that the creation of that document, having that document as part of the RTF information, I think will help banks also to kind of help us with that, providing that information when we have to go through the exam.
Good point. Any other comments or any adds to the discussion? Yes, please.
I think looking at being in the fourth industrial revolution, looking at the digital divide as we address the issues that affects the low to moderate income communities should be also one of the things looked at as we look at to flash that master plan.
Anything else? Any other comments? I think just to close this out quickly, I think the timing is, I think this is good timing for us to pull these documents out and to, as you said, Stephen, we have the old look with the new look and where we currently are. What I'll say, what we're seeing real time on the ground. And as we talk about housing and those housing needs, one thing that we also have seen in San Diego is that our housing stock is being consumed by investors, right? Where I think, at least for myself, I am really adamant that we continue to make home ownership available to families, right? And housing available to families. And so I think that's very, very important that we don't lose sight of that as we go through this process. And so just want to thank my co-chair, Supervisor Monica Montgomery Stepp, because I think it's important that as we move and as we look at the environment, both nationally, at the state level, and also at the local level, that I think it's very good timing that we shore up our foundation to make sure that everything that we do is furthering our goals, and we're strategic in nature. But at the same time, staying flexible because things do change as needs change, right? So thank you for this conversation. We have a motion on the floor, first by co-chair Monica Montgomery, Supervisor Monica Montgomery Stepp, a second by myself, Councilmember Henry Foster. Oh, did I? Oh, I'm sorry. My fault. We'll reverse it. Motion by Councilmember Henry Foster and second by Supervisor Monica Montgomery Stepp. We will now have each committee member register their vote by show of hands. All those in favor signify accordingly. All those opposed? That passes unanimously. So again, look forward to returning in 60 days. If there are any comments that come up, as you, I know this weighs on you guys heavily every night. So as things come up, as you hear things, don't hesitate to give us a call, each of our offices, as we do want to put our best foot forward and do what's in the best interest of our community. So please don't hesitate to reach out. So thank you for the discussion. And I believe that this brings us to the end of today's agenda. So with that, thank you to the members of the public and the staff for your participation. And thank you to the members that took the time out to come today. I will now adjourn this meeting of the Reinvestment Task Force to our next scheduled meeting, which is on Thursday, May 15th, 2025 at 9 a.m. We are adjourned at 3:03. Thank you very much.